That's very beautiful.
Yeah, pretty tune.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest, my friend Kendall Kay, cohort in crime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and and so,
Hi, Cathy.
hi, Kendall.
Lovely to see you and chat.
Thank you. Lovely to see you too. Thanks for chatting with me for 5 hours. Only kidding.
Thanks for having me on.
So as long as we just saw that beautiful piece, tell us about that.
That's the Persian Jazz Quartet, and Farzin Farhadi is the saxophone player, and James Bastani is the piano player. And the two of them arranged, and some of the originals, and some of them are old tunes that they rearranged. And they, I don't know if you can hear my cat.
Sounds like the cat saying daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy, daddy.
Every now and then he chimes in. And, Edwin played bass, and it was just a lovely project. Really great music, fun to play with him.
I guess they're Persian.
Yes.
Makes sense. Yeah. And they're in Los Angeles?
Yes.
See, isn't that interesting? You just don't know. You know who this is, speaking of that, I have known just one Turkish player for a long time, which is Ahmet Turkmenoglu. Yes. But the other day I went over to Michael's to see Brad Rebuchin's group on Sunday. He has like a Sunday evening thing. Yeah. And I met several other Turkish musicians who were wonderful. And we were making jokes, it was like, wow, I just didn't, it's so interesting. You live in LA, there's huge amount of people here who are talented, but you might go for 40 years and never meet someone or see, hear somebody. It's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you get wrapped up in a little circle of people that you work with for a while, and then you just don't see anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you meet someone, you play with them, and you've both been here 20, 30 years, and you go, wow, where have you been? Yeah, where have you been? So it's great when you finally meet someone.
Yeah.
Well, with them.
I mean, the projects that I know about that you've played are extremely versatile, very, very different. I mean, all jazz pretty much, right?
No, not always.
Really?
Yeah. I grew up playing and listening to all kinds of music as a kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just all fun. All the music that I liked was just great.
Yeah. So nowadays, though, do you play different stuff?
Occasionally. I might venture forth and play something out of the norm. Well, my friend John Van Tongeren, we have a group with Mike Klinko called Trinome. He wrote some music the year before, and it was prog rock.
Oh.
Progressive rock.
Yeah.
Kind of, let's see, some of our early influences when we were probably 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
A little beyond that, which was King Crimson.
Yeah, King Crimson.
Gentle Giant.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So anyway, he wrote a whole bunch of tunes and tribute to all those
Wow.
punk rock guys. And he said, "You want to come and play?" And I said, "Yes, I would love to." Of course, that's also part of my background, my early childhood.
Yeah.
So we started recording before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic hit, we sort of stopped for a bit. And then when it was a little bit safer to get together again, we went back and carried on playing some drums on the tracks. And it was so much fun.
That's cool.
And that's tip of the hat to progressive rock music.
Yeah, definitely. King Crimson. Yeah, King Crimson I was into also, especially. The other groups, I knew of them, but I didn't really, for some reason, I must have had a boyfriend who liked King Crimson or something. But yeah, King Crimson, that stuff, I mean, it's kind of like the Grateful Dead. I was a Deadhead. That was kind of, it was kind of jazz too. I mean, you know, two drummers and then endless jams on one song, you know? So yeah, I think that the prog rock is also jazz-like, you know, I mean,
yes.
What did we call it in the jazz rock? I mean, we called it that too. I mean, when it was leaning a little more towards jazz, you know, supposedly.
Yeah.
But I remember in college, that term jazz rock was, you know,
Yeah, well, there was Blood, Sweat and Tears and Chicago, or were they rock jazz? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I saw the Danny Seraphin recently, like 2 months ago.
Oh, great.
And, yeah, and it was really a fun gig. They did it at the Canyon Club, and they had people hanging out. Robbie Krieger came and played a bunch, and there was like Greg Bissonette and a bunch of drummers who just came, and they kept kind of sitting in, you know, like in the middle of the song. And but actually it sounded really good. And you know, Chicago is a band that I wouldn't like name the songs that I remember or liked, or even thought that I really liked it. But as they played them, I was like, oh yeah, I used to like that song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I liked that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good writing.
Yes. And then there was Chase. Chase was also
what was Chase?
Bill Chase.
Oh, Bill Chase.
Yeah, he had a great band, I suppose.
Yeah.
Jazz rock.
Yeah. Interesting. It's like once you start looking at all the different musics, you know, I don't know if you've done this, but like my last project, I was looking for earlier music that I liked, that I wanted to redo, you know, from the 70s and stuff. And I just was so kind of blown away. I know it's almost like a duh kind of a thing, you know, like duh, you know, really, you just realize that, but just the abundance and the huge social effect of music, you know, as we grew, the common current day music as we progressed through life. I mean, it was unbelievable, really. A huge effect on our lives, you know.
Definitely. Yes. Oh, yes.
We're lucky.
Yeah.
We're lucky for that.
Sure lucky to get to do what we do.
We are.
Yeah. I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And of course, you played with the great Cathy Segal-Garcia on her real, like, left turn.
That's right.
That was a great project, and it was such a kind of a turning point in my life, because I had just, let's see, had I just separated? I think I had just separated from my first husband, Gus. I was in a new house. I was going through this kind of separation stuff, and I had written all this new music, which was kind of like you know, like when you paint art and you do your red period and then you move on. That was like one of a period for me. Um, and I remember calling you guys up, you and Chris Seimer and Karen Hammock, and just saying, "Hey, I got some new music. Want to come play?" And you said, "Yeah." And then we were working on the music, and then an opportunity to record it came up, and I remember that. And I also, the weird thing about that music for me was we would play and it would be really great, right? We'd be playing in that little room. Then you guys would leave. And normally, the music that you just did sits around, especially if you're working on it for hours. That music would just zip out of my head totally. And which I thought was really like, I just didn't get that. It was like, well, I wonder why that happens, But anyway, I really liked that project, Secret Life. That was a fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And, it's really nice doing things like that because you're involved in a sort of a band project.
Yeah.
You just develop a sound that is really, so great to that period, that you working together or playing, and you just get to develop that music if the band continues on. But it's good taking a little left turn.
Yeah.
And doing something, that you normally don't do.
Yeah, well, as you say, it's about that moment in time, both in your life and as an artist, and also with the band, because that is a particular sound, and that trio was so great, and we added a few things extra, but I mean, the trio was great. It was just, you guys all loved each other and played beautifully together, and
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. I might play one cut of that later just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, why not?
So you, when you grew up in South Africa, was jazz like super present or kind of just present with everything?
It was present with everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like the main musical thing, but yeah, it was there. And there were people who listened to jazz a lot. I wasn't around them, but I grew up listening to all kinds of different music. And the radio stations back then were so different because you put on a station and they would play all kinds of music.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. You could hear some pop music, then you would hear some jazz music, and then you would hear some African music. So it was
what a concept.
Yeah.
It's a great concept. How much did African music influence you, do you think?
I think I was influenced quite a bit by African music, the local music in that area. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to my one aunt's farm up in Mount Edgecombe. It was a sugarcane farm. And sometimes I'd spend holidays up there. And around Christmas time, these Zulus would bring their drums and they would play. There were about 6 or 8 in the ensemble, and they would play on these wooden drums or tin drums with cowhide skins. And the sound that they made, and there was some dancing would go with that, but the sound of these drums was so powerful. I would just stand there or sit and just be mesmerized by these guys playing and the sound. So that probably seeped in as a kid.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes you'd hear somebody walking along the road playing the guitar, just playing. Walking. It's like, wow, that's great.
I've never been to Africa, so I can imagine that it's there, the cities, besides the cities, there's maybe it's a gig.
phone that.
But I can imagine that it's a lot of countryside and different communities.
Yeah. Well, plus growing up in South Africa at the time, we had apartheid, which was really a strange way to grow up.
Huh.
So it was pretty weird and wild.
What was weird about it?
Weird.
I mean, I can imagine, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Well, it was actually a police state, so you didn't have a democratic government. You had a government that was ruling the majority of Black people, and it was a minority white government and population. So they kept the Black people like in check severely, and they did that by all kinds of weird laws, passed laws, which were awful. And Black people had to live on in townships or locations away from the white areas. So it was all this separation. But the weird thing was, even though you were separated in certain areas, you had a mix of people every day, because a lot of white people had Black servants, and they would take care of the household duties. They would look after the white kids. So that was really bizarre. And yet they were treated as second class or third class citizens.
Yeah. And so I think I remember the Paul Simon Project came at a very dramatic time. Let's see. There was some kind of swelling up politically, and he hadn't intended it to be any kind of political statement, but the timing of it happened, and he didn't feel he felt like moving ahead with his project was timely and important. But he wasn't doing it for a political statement, but it turned out to be kind of a political statement.
Sure.
Yeah, that was very interesting. He have you ever seen his video on that?
No, is it a documentary?
It's either a documentary or it's part of the CD DVD of that project, which the name I can't remember.
Oh, when he was putting it all together?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
very, very interesting. You'd probably find
it
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you move when you moved from there? Was it during it, or it was after it, or?
Well, the first time I came to the US was in 1974, and I just finished high school in 73, and I'd saved up some money, and some friends, musician friends, said to me, "You know what, you should go to Berkeley for the summer semester and just go check it out." So I said, "Why not?" So off I came. I went to Boston, and I was there for, I don't know, it was for the summer semester, so probably 3 months in school.
Yeah.
3-4 months. And I had the greatest time. I was 18.
Yeah. You were in Boston, which was a great town.
Boston in the summertime, which was so beautiful.
At Berkeley.
Yeah. And I was just amongst all these great musicians and teachers. And I have to tell you my really strange story. When I arrived at the airport, at Logan Airport, I needed some change for the for the payphone.
Yeah.
So I'm going, oh, I don't have any change. And I'm looking at the payphone. I'm going, oh, I got to get some coins. Okay, what's my next plan here? I need to call the school and see how to get there. So I must have had this really puzzled look on my face. And this fellow came up to me and said, hello, do you need help? And I said, yeah, I need some change for the phone. I just arrived. I'm going to go to Berkeley and I need to contact them. So he said, oh, no problem. He said, my name's so-and-so. He said, here's some change. Let's call. So call the school. They go, we're not open today. The dorms are not open.
Oh, God.
Only tomorrow. So I'm going, oh, okay. And this fellow says to me, well, don't be alarmed or anything. He said, but, I deal with kids who are, runaways and stuff like that. And he said, you can come and stay at my place tonight and I will take you to school, back to the dorm in the morning. So I said, okay, no problem. So this was 1974, right?
Yeah.
So it was a good time.
It was kind of safe.
Safe time, yeah.
Yeah.
So we go to his pad, and it turns out he's a mortician. We get to his pad, and he says, I'm a mortician. The basement area is the mortuary. The ground level is the kitchen. Upstairs, the next level, bedroom. So he says, you can, take a bedroom, So that was my first night in Boston. And he was a great guy. And he said, oh, and by the way, here's one of my roommates. And he was a really nice guy too. And he said, and he works for the city morgue. Okay. Wow. Okay. Welcome to Boston.
Oh my God.
So anyway, he took me to the school the next day and everything was great. And we became really good friends. And sometimes he would lend my roommate and I a car. We would go down to South Yarmouth, we'd go down Cape Cod. Sometimes we would hitchhike down there. And we saw so many great concerts down there. We saw the New Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Wow.
Saw ZZ Top,
Yeah.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And then, the Jazz Workshop in Paul's Mall.
Yes, very well.
Airto and Flora.
Yeah.
And a very young Kay Okagi.
Really?
Yes. And that was
very young. Yeah.
Very young. His first gig with them. And it was
my God.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Interesting.
Fantastic.
And then I saw McCoy Tyner with Alphonse Mouzon.
Yeah.
And years later, I met Alphonse here in Los Angeles. And I said, Alphonse, you are one of my heroes. I saw you playing at Paul's Mall or the Jazz Workshop with McCoy Tyner. And I said, you just blew me away. I said, unbelievable. You're one of my heroes. And he was like knocked out about that. He said, really?
Oh.
He was incredible.
Paul's Mall and Jazz Workshop were great. I mean, they were just, what a great hang,
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus Cambridge was right there.
Cambridge, yeah.
We used to go hear some fantastic music there.
Mm-hmm.
And just being in school at that time.
Yeah.
My one teacher was Dave Samuels, the pipes player.
Yeah.
Who passed away. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then my one drum set teacher was Joe Hunt. It was great.
Oh. Who else was there at that time was, oh, gosh, I don't think I'll remember his name. A very stately black man who was just really a great teacher and a great player.
Mm-hmm. What did he play?
Drums. He was like the guy who would play with Ray Brown or something, I saw him in Japan actually with Sam Most and Ray Brown, and
You're not thinking of Alan Dawson?
yes, I am. Alan Dawson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, he wasn't there that summer because I would have loved to study with him too. But he was such a great teacher.
He was a great player, really.
Yeah.
Really musical and tasteful, and yeah, he was really wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, I just missed you because I left in no, wait a minute. When were you there?
The summer of 74. You must have been around then.
No, I was there.
You were in school then?
I don't know if I was there in the summer because I went to Berkeley 72 to 75.
Okay. Yeah.
I was one of the only women, actually. So if, you know, there might have been like 20 girls or something, you know. And I was one.
That's great.
I played flute because they didn't have vocal at the time.
Okay.
When I left, they just started getting a vocal department. So yeah, I played flute and I had arranging and comp.
Yeah, that was such a great time. Really.
It was a great time. Yeah. That's so cool. Oh, hi, Joyce. Joyce Glasgow is here. Do you know Joyce?
I'm not sure.
She is a big fan and an artist herself. She's from Seattle. And she said, I heard Dave Samuels mentioned, a great musician. Yep.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So
yeah, what else? Oh, I did a gig there too while I was there.
Yeah.
A bunch of us students got a gig in the combat zone.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, the combat zone was where all the strippers were and the kind of more seedy people in Boston. It wasn't that far from Berkeley, actually.
No, it was walking distance.
Yeah.
I remember Parliament Funkadelic was playing down there.
Oh, yeah. Parliament Funkadelic, man. That was some shit.
But my gig was actually in a strip club there.
Okay.
So I was going, wow, here I am, Berkeley, the USA, and my gig is in a strip club. I mean, what more get any better than that?
Yeah. Talk about a different, you know, different experience. You know who played down there a lot was John. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm going to have to look. John. Sorry. He's you might not know him that well, but John. Gosh, sorry. I have to like look his name up. I can't believe it. He's a B3 player and a keyboard player. He plays, I guess you'd say, more rock jazz.
Yeah.
He lives here, or I mean, who knows who lives here anymore because everybody's moving out of town. You know. John.
But he was going to school then at the time?
With an N. Yeah, he was going to school. John Novello.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know John. I know of John, but
yeah. So he was going to Berkeley and he played B3 for the strippers.
Nice.
One way to learn rhythm, you know.
Yeah, you know, and a musician, you know, he's got to have a gig.
Exactly. And I'm sure they treated him good.
I hope so.
So, and you went back to Africa?
Yes, I
for
did.
A while, or?
Yeah. And I had to do my national service too.
Army kind of stuff? Is that what that is?
Yeah, we were all called up to do that. And I was fortunate enough to do the last part of that in the entertainment unit.
Oh.
Playing music.
Cool.
And that was really good. because I got to play in a big band too.
Yeah. And you do that every day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really good training, good experience. And then after I finished that, I moved up to Johannesburg. Well, I was in Pretoria, which is pretty close by. And then I moved to Johannesburg, and I worked in Johannesburg, playing with a lot of different musicians. I started to do some sessions, some recording, including records and jingles. So that was really good training.
Yeah.
Just such a good experience for me. And there was some great musicians back there who put me on the right track, try to keep me on the right track. But I have to say that when I was young, I think 10, I went for my first drum set lesson with a fellow who's really special to me. His name's Johnny Marshall.
Uh-huh.
And he started me off, hands, playing, learning all the different beats and grooves and whatever you need to do to cover a gig. And then I had another great teacher, drum set teacher after that, Gerald Kadachi. So I'm really thankful to those guys for getting me started off on the right foot from a young age. So I was really lucky.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then when did you move? You went to North Texas, right?
Yes. I came over in 1983.
Okay, 1983.
Yeah. Because another good friend of mine, Gerald Stockton, him and I were in the Army together. And we always used to talk about the North Texas State University lab band, the 1 o'clock lab bands, because we used to get those records in South Africa.
Oh, cool.
We'd listen to these records and go, this is unbelievable. These are kids. Listen to how good they are. So he came over, I forget what year, but probably around 1980.
Uh-huh.
He started in North Texas. And then he said to me, you know what, if you want a really good education, he said, come over to North Texas, and which I did in 1983. So that's when I came over. And I was there from 83 to the end of 86, and then I moved out to LA at the beginning of 87.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who were some of the people that we might know who went to North Texas at the time with you?
Scott Whitfield.
Ah.
Let's see. Randy Drake, the drummer, was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ray Brinker.
Wow.
Joey?
Prompting.
The prompter.
Yeah, Chuck Tomlinson.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of guys.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. So usually when I like the way somebody plays, they went to North Texas.
Yeah. It was such a great school.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they started having vocalists and the same thing. And it's like, oh wow, you sound really good. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I went to North Texas. Yeah. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And because there were students from in-state, that were local students, Texas. There were students from all over the US. And then there were all these foreign students.
Yeah.
So, there were a bunch of us from South Africa, about 5 of us.
Yeah.
There were Swedish students, German, you name it. They were from all over the world. So it was really great.
Yeah.
We were in a small little town. I think there were just the 2 universities.
I think that was one, if not the, I mean, there was Berkeley, but Berkeley, I think as the years went on, changed in its teaching, and got more commercial. But I think at that time when you went to North Texas, that was probably one of the best schools that I knew about, certainly, that anyone really kind of knew about for, it kind of focused on jazz, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And tuition was really good too. It was cheaper than a lot of the other schools.
Yeah. Yeah, Berkeley got more and more crazy as the years went on.
Yeah. And then I had a fantastic drum set teacher there too. And Henry Oxtel, who I have to thank as well, just for being such a great teacher.
Yeah.
And Colin Bailey was also there.
Oh, really?
Teacher. Yeah.
Colin, now there's a classy drummer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Colin Bailey, yeah. Yeah. When I moved to LA, I don't know if he was there at the time, but he definitely came to LA for some years and lived, and he was really a classy player.
Yes.
Hey, I want to play something.
Okay.
From Kendall Kay's collection.
Do you have anything in balloons?
Balloons? I don't think so. But I'm kind of curious about the Bevan Manson one.
Yo,
is that that's good?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we go, Jeff Miley too. Oh God, I love Jeff Miley. Tell us about Jazz Channel LA.
Let's see, it's run by Joseph, Joe.
Who?
The bass player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's his project, and he put it all together. And he's got a really great room to play in and record, and he's got some really great microphones and a great setup. And he's amazing. He just sets it all up, and you go in, you just read some tunes and play, and off you go. Have a good time.
In my promotion on Facebook, when I share, and I share to groups, Jazz Channel LA is one of the groups that I share with.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Joe's really done a wonderful thing with that.
Yeah. Is he still doing the same thing?
Not at the moment. But
yeah.
Hopefully at some point he'll be able to get back to it.
This was actually in 2016, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear. This is a really great lineup. Bev. Wow. Miley, man. So good. Yeah. Kendall Kay. I love that song, first of all. And second of all, I have to see their names again. So Dan Boise, I don't know Dan, and I don't think I know Josh either. They sounded wonderful.
Yeah, they sure are.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Dan Boise, man, he really knocked me out.
Yep.
And Jeff Miley, I just want to say Jeff Miley is such a beautiful thinker, isn't he? His solos are so fluid and tasteful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course the Bevan Manson solos. I really know them now, you know. He loves to play with the melody, like real, you know, kind of adventurous playing, you know.
Yes.
And Joseph was great. Did he actually make that did he pull that band together?
Yes. Well, he just calls different people up to come over and play, and he just puts all the different groups together and just play and record and read some tunes down.
Oh, I see.
Very informal and just a lot of fun.
So had you played with all those guys before?
No. And that's another fun thing about that situation is, you know, you get to play with people you've never met before, and you try and create some nice music.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, 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 really nice. Beautiful.
Yeah. Very creative outlet. And Joseph, thank you.
Excellent, Joseph. I'm gonna actually reach out to him and say excellent. Jazz Channel LA.
Yes.
I'm sure there's tons of great stuff.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's obviously very tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, tasteful. So in I tried to find information on you. I just want to say, Kendall, you need a good bio out there.
Very low tech, Cathy.
I know, but
so low tech.
certainly there's another person living in your house who might help.
The lovely Sharon.
Sharon.
Sharon, how high tech are you? Yeah, this is a extremely low tech family.
But you know what's so cool? I just want to share this with you. I'm just saying.
Yes.
That there are amazing young people out there who you can pay very little money, who would actually put that together for you and post it somewhere. You know, I actually pay a young person to do my social media because even though I'm good PR, I cannot do everything. It's just impossible. And so he makes sure that I keep out there in Instagram and stuff. And yeah, so it's good to have that. But I mean, somebody like you, I did a lot of booking, like for Bar Fedora and before that, and it would always intrigue me that certain people didn't have a website, even like a Wix site, like a one-page site, But I really feel strongly that somebody like you should have a bio out there, that's because you've done so much. You've played with so many people, and your career has been really spectacular. And I'm just putting in my 2 cents, I think.
Thank you. I will take it under advisement and speak to my counselor over here, and we will venture forth.
Okay. I'm just saying,
Thank you. I do have a small bio,
Yes. Well, I used that small bio for this.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a lot more.
Well, and I mean, there's so many people you get to play with.
Yeah.
Well, over the course of years, it's really amazing. And, I would like to thank all those people, musicians and singers who I've played with.
Yeah.
Just thank you for hiring me. Thank you for the good times.
Yeah. And, I was just telling another person I had on last week, I wanted more of a bio on him, and he came up. There's kind of a difference between a bio and a resume, like a resume lists everything you've done, but a bio is a little more conversational, and it throws in like the people that you mentioned in the bio that I got, that was it's kind of an impressive chunk, of people. And it's like a story, that makes people go, oh, interesting.
Well, it is an eclectic bunch of people.
It's very eclectic.
Yeah.
You know who I saw the other day, speaking of eclectic, it was with Larry Goldings.
Yes.
And Anthony Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And oh no, my mind apparently isn't working today. The drummer,
yes.
I know you know this drummer. Dan, if you're listening, please tell me who the drummer is. Rose something. Jay
Bellerose.
Thank you.
Jay is great.
Now he strikes me as
wonderful.
Very eclectic.
Yes.
He's so he's minimalistic.
Yeah.
So I'm just totally intrigued by him. Whenever I see him, I study him. And he does these real simple minimalistic things, and they're always perfect.
He plays all the right stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Thanks, Dan. Jay Bellerose.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah, really interesting drummer.
Yeah.
Um,
And he uses old drum sets, which is really cool.
yeah, small and old.
Old, yeah.
Yeah, and he sticks like a shaker in his sock.
Yeah.
Who would have even thought of that, man?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, Jay.
Um, so do you have your own groups? Do you I don't know if you do.
Well, yes, there's some really fun groups that I've played with, fairly recently. One was Polychrome
Polychrome.
with Sam Riney,
Oh.
Bob Leatherbarrow
Uh,
on vibes. And
oh,
Bob is a fantastic drummer.
yeah.
Yeah, so he plays vibes, and then John Chiodini.
Wow, the old guys, man.
Yeah, the geezers. And Kenny Wild.
Wow.
So it's really fun.
And that's called what?
Polychrome.
Polychrome.
Yeah, we did a record that should be able to be located somewhere. Actually did.
Wow. That is so cool. What an interesting band. I want to hear that.
And then there's another group I play with, which is Mark Hatch. You know Mark?
Yeah.
Trumpet player.
Yeah.
Sam Riney. Rich Ruttenberg. Yeah. And Dominic Genova.
Oh my God, another old guys band.
The Geezer Band, which is so much fun.
Where, you're not as old as some of the old guys, but to me it's old because it's like from the 80s, I knew all those guys. So and what's that band called?
That is called Group 5. Group 5.
And so do you record with them too?
We haven't recorded with that group, but hopefully at some point we'll be recording something.
Interesting. Wow. So could I find Polychrome on YouTube or Spotify?
Yes, I think so.
I'm going to look while we're talking because I'm really intrigued.
Okay. And then the other group that I was playing with too, is Trinome with Mike Klenko.
Yeah.
And John Van Tongeren.
Oh.
And that's an organ trio. And then sometimes we have horn players joining us, but it's the three of us usually. And we've done 2 records.
Oh, and what is the name of that group again?
It's Trinome, but you'll find it under Trinome 3.
And how?
TRINOM 3.
Okay. As opposed to Trinome 2, right?
Yeah, well, the Trinome is an old metronome.
Oh.
That had a bunch of, I think you can play 3 different tempos at once.
I wonder why people would do that.
Yeah, those guys who were playing odd time things and trying to figure out how to play 3/4 and 4/, who knows what. They were using it.
Huh.
It's a really great metronome.
Wow.
And then, I was playing with Brian Schwartz. We had a regular Tuesday night gig.
Yeah, I saw that. That was really good.
That was so much fun. It was Brian and Steve Cotter played guitar.
Yeah.
And Chris Colangelo played bass.
Yeah, that was great, and a great location up on the top floor, the roof of a building downtown LA.
Yeah, the 15th floor.
That was really nice. You played that gig for a while, right?
We did it for 7 years, maybe 8, 7 years.
I didn't come that much then.
Every Tuesday night. It was really such a fun gig. And we have one record out with Brian, that quartet.
And what was that called?
Brian Schwartz.
Rooftop group.
No, well, that's Brian Schwartz Quartet. Yeah, we did a a really beautiful record with Brian.
Oh, he's a really good player.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious now because we talked about it here. This is Polychrome. Let's just listen to a little bit of this.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I'll listen to 26 minutes, but let's listen to a little bit of it, though. That's not Sam Riney, is it?
That's Sam, yeah.
Wow. It looks kind of different.
Much younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Paul Moran playing bass on that one.
Oh, yeah, man. He's a good player.
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah. That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a record. And oh yes, and then the other group I play with is with Joey Sellers and Paul Carmen and Chris Seimer.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've seen that you played at the Blue Whale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I get to play my second instrument.
Which is?
Balloon.
Oh. Yeah. Joey.
Only Joey could come up with that.
He is yeah, he's he's very creative. I had let's see, when did I do that? Monday actually. I had the archive of the conversation with him. He's so unique.
Yeah.
Did you know that once I had when I was booking Bar Fedora, I had Joey and Ryan, so ladies and gentlemen, Joey Sellers and Ryan Dragon, both really great trombone players, really interesting, creative artists. Anyway, he said, "Are you sure you want this group at Bar Fedora?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" Not many people in the audience, but what was really funny was because they're so out, and this couple came in and the guy wanted to introduce jazz to his wife or girlfriend. And I said, well, I have to tell you that this is not your standard jazz. And he said, that's okay. God bless them. They stayed the whole time, which was really challenging because like on this one song, Ryan came out in Speedos and a wrestling mask. And then they played their funny shit on two trombones,
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's so far out there in.
So funny. Yeah, really. Very.
And then I get to play with Joey's 11-piece band sometimes.
That's great.
It's so creative. It's really something else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great writer, yeah. Do you compose, right?
No.
You decompose?
I do. I start out on an introduction and then I get entangled in the introduction, and that's as far as I get. I can never get past that. One day.
It's challenging to write, actually, because you always meet yourself somewhere, and it's yourself sometimes as a stranger or a blocking person, No, no, you can't do all that,
Yeah, I take my hat off to people who can just write tunes.
Yeah.
It's something I can't do.
I think the thing to realize for any creative endeavor like that is that there's always going to be a process. Like last night, actually, I've been trying to work on this book that I've been writing for 15 years. And I've been trying to get to it more lately. And, last night I was writing, and at some point I was kind of like depressed about what I was reading, because I thought, this does not flow. This is, this is like weird what was I doing? I was like, my mind was all over the place. Yeah. And, I had this feeling of, stopping, and then, but this other thing was there in me, and I just thought, well, I'll just keep going for a minute, and sure enough, I got through it. But
Right.
I think sometimes writing music is like that too. Like,
Yes.
I also remember one time in a period I was writing songs and I couldn't I couldn't move on because the songs that were coming out were really simple. They were like folk tunes. And I kept thinking, I can't write folk tunes. I have to write jazz, you know, brilliant jazz songs. And I didn't go past it for like a year. And finally I spoke to an artist friend of mine, and I don't even remember what he said, but there was one sentence he said that just made me go, "Oh, I'm stopping myself. What do I care what comes out? If I don't like it, I'll just throw it away. I don't have to stop the process."
Exactly. Yeah, that's very wise words.
Yeah. But I mean, and I was, what was I? I was either watching something about this the other day. I can't remember, but somebody was talking about, well, the fact that you don't actually compose doesn't make you less of an artist. You're still creating. You're composing all the time as you're creating, composition. What was that? Who was talking about that? Yeah, we're just talking about the act of composition. Yeah, it's just another thing. It's like playing the drums or singing, or it's just
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
different part of the action.
Yeah. Don't they say you should practice what you don't know?
They do say that.
They do. Wow. I got a lot of practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole macrocosm, when you break it down into the smaller microcosms, of living, and as you say, practicing what you don't know. I mean, it's endless what we can learn, practice, weave in, and it kind of gives you, it either makes you exasperated and ready to go into apathy, or or like kind of zen, like it's all okay.
And that's another thing that makes music so great for us and beautiful, is because we have to work on these little things and you get stuck, and then you got to just keep going, and you'll practice something and maybe you'll never use it in what you're playing at the time, but then maybe one day you'll be playing and you'll just do it because you've internalized it, and it comes out, maybe many years down the road.
Yeah, I think the important thing, I mean, I think the important thing, I'm sure you agree to some extent, is to actually like what you're doing in the moment. Because, once if you work on that and you eat it and then it doesn't come out for like 10 years, it's okay if you enjoyed it while you're doing it.
Yeah. It's probably all, I mean, part of our practicing, trying to improve. We have to go through all those things.
Yeah. Was there ever a time in your life or career that you felt like despondent about it?
Oh yeah, every time I practice. Oh no. No, I'm joking. Yeah, but there's certain times, you might be working on something and it's not coming to you, and you got to just spend more time with it, and then eventually you get it. But you just got to take just a little piece at a time. Try and not get despondent.
Yeah. I always say that a few years, not so long ago, a few years ago, my voice was just not behaving in a way that was satisfactory to me. it wasn't satisfying. And partly was because I have this chronic cough that I've had for years. And I think my body was leaning away from breathing, you know. So you can't sing without breathing. And so, yeah, there were reasons why I kept going. And it made me keep going, and I got past that, but that was a big chunk to get past, you know.
Yeah.
And I just had to keep having faith and moving through it. And then, you know, I don't know.
What's the alternative? That's the thing.
I know.
You don't do it or you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I could not sing. I don't know.
No. It's who you are.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we're playing, you know, we forget about all the stuff we practiced. And we just hone in on the moment and try to create something beautiful.
Do you find even now that sometimes you get into situations with musicians that you would rather not be playing with?
No, I think for the most part,
you're liking everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get to play with just a lot of wonderful musicians.
Yeah. The reason I asked that, I was just curious because, yeah, I think being a singer is a little different because you might get placed, you know, take a gig. I mean, really, I guess it's your point of view, but you might get placed in a gig with musicians that aren't as supportive. They don't get you as a singer. You know, they think, oh, you're a singer. You know, and so they treat you a particular way. And sometimes sitting in on a gig can be tiring, you know, because you have to there's so many different things to work on creating in the moment. Not that you necessarily think about them, you know, in detail, but there's certain feelings, like for instance, sometimes my students will say, you know, they won't know what to do first. And I always say the first thing you want to do is make friends with the musicians before you start singing.
Yeah.
Say hi to everybody. Look them in the eye, you know, shake a hand, or, you know, so that there's already like a little bit of a relationship, you know.
Sure.
And so there's all these different kind of layers for singers too.
Yeah.
And which I imagine is for anybody, but
Yes.
Singers I think is, you know, especially.
Yeah.
What let's see. I want to ask you, I mean, I I understand that especially somebody as experienced as you starts playing with a band and starts relating to each player in a way that's present and in the moment, and has to do with how the other player is relating to you and all that. But do you have favorite things that you look for in players? Like, as an example, bass players who do a lot of walking or who don't do a lot of walking, that kind of thing?
No, I think it depends on the situation and the group you're playing in, because certain groups you might just be playing straight ahead, 4/4, off we go, and very little times where we go into 2. The Titanic's going down, so we'll just go all the way. No, and then other groups, it's a little more open.
Mm-hmm.
Some are more experimental. So I think from the things I get to do, I think it just depends on the group of people you're with at the time, and you just go with what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Because if you try and force things, then it gets not
Bad.
it doesn't work so well that way.
Yeah.
Just kind of go with the general flow.
Yeah. That's an interesting lesson to learn.
Yeah. And if everybody's listening to each other, it'll work.
Yeah.
If someone's not listening, then the chances of it working are not good.
I guess that's actually the answer to the question. You like it when people listen to each other.
Yes. Thanks for getting us there in a
Well, that, when I think about the some of the worser experiences I've had, it's when the musicians aren't listening to me, and then the other ones that get bad for me is when they think that I need more help than I do.
ouch.
That could be annoying for a singer.
Yeah. And then, maybe the bad experiences are also good for us because we'll learn from them too.
Yeah. You know what I did when
Then
I was
you appreciate the really good moments.
Yeah. You know what I did when I was in college? I made these 2 tapes, because cassette tapes we were using, of I taped everything on record that I loved. So if it was 1 bar or a whole song or 8 bars, whatever it was, like, these moments of songs, so I taped all of it, back to back. And when I was finished with these 2 tapes, I wrote down everything that I liked from each piece. And it was great because then I got to see what I was drawn to.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool because when you're not a player, you have to figure out how to communicate about it and what to put together and, what kind of a band you want or what kind of music you want to do.
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think of the younger musicians coming up right now?
There are some fantastic young musicians. I think it's wonderful. And some of them are just incredible. So music's great.
Yeah. It's
Gotta
interesting.
carry on.
It's I hate when some people always, I don't know why they say it. I think just to hear themselves speak, but they say, "Oh, well, jazz is dead." It's like,
No, it's
no,
not.
it's
No,
going through changes because that's what jazz does. It changes and it reflects.
exactly. Yeah. And young people figure out what they like to play and how they play it, and they run with that.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some incredible young musicians. So good for them.
Yeah. You teach, right?
No.
Not you teach a little. No?
No, sometimes I sub, but not really much teaching.
Okay. I was just going to say, too, if you had students, what might be some of the first things that you would make sure that they thought about in their playing?
And they're playing.
Yeah.
Well, it would depend on each student. I would think if I was teaching somebody and what age and where they were at.
Yeah, I guess I was kind of referring to maybe what do you think is important for drummers to have as part of their bass?
Uh-huh. Well, you got to get it all together.
Easy.
Yeah, and it's, you got to practice, you got to play with other musicians, you got to do all that, have a good teacher, and then, hopefully you'll play with good time, you'll play with taste when it's required, you listen, and when the music requires that you play quietly, you play quietly. When it requires that you bash and you go nuts, then you do that. So it's all those things and more.
Yeah.
Be creative. Support the other musicians or singer that you're working with, you're playing with. But yeah, definitely time, feel, and support.
Yeah.
Don't be a nudnik.
What'd you say? Don't be a nudnik?
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. One of the hardest things I find to teach singers is groove. I'm always fascinated by, asking people, how would you teach groove? It's just, if somebody kind of just doesn't think about that and doesn't really have a groove, it's challenging to tell them, because as a teacher, you have to have empathy, right? You have to kind of get into the back of their heads and see
Yes.
their point of view. And like this person doesn't have groove, and it's like, how am I going to get this person to understand what groove is? They know it, they just don't know they know it. And maybe the word groove is intimidating to them for some reason. I mean, gosh, when I think of the drummers who do you think have some of the great grooves? Like, well, Steve Gadd has got to be in the great groove area, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
He played on Ruby, didn't he? Not the jazz Ruby, the maybe Ruby, 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 baby. Was that Steely Dan? I'm not sure. But do you remember that song?
I remember the song. I don't remember if he played on it, but he could have.
I think it was him. Anyway, that was the greatest groove. I remember playing that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Because of the groove. It was like, oh God, this groove is amazing. There's something like I've had a few experiences with drummers when they've had groove and time that is deeply affecting me. Deep, like really zing it right into me,
Yes.
And that's a really divine feeling.
That's a good feeling. Sure.
Yeah. Whose grooves do you really love?
There's so many.
Okay, name a few.
Well, just an Earth, Wind and Fire record. I mean, there's some serious grooving going on.
Yeah. Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah. Wow. You got me stumped now.
What about jazz groovers?
Jazz groovers.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie Gladden springs to mind.
I don't know him.
He played with Dexter Gordon.
Oh.
And George Cables.
Yeah, he played with George.
George Cables with Dexter and Rufus Reid.
Oh, so what
Live at the Keystone
yesterday then?
Live at the Keystone.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, Eddie Gladden's got a great groove. Oh man, there's so many. I love all their grooves.
Do you have favorite drummers from like the bebop period or?
Well, it's the usual suspects
Yeah,
like Philly Joe.
yeah,
And then there's, of course, Elvin Jones.
yeah.
And I mean, then some of the others. Jack DeJohnette is one of my favorites.
Really great.
Yeah, so creative.
Yeah. And he's a great composer too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his career and the music he's played over that, his career has been incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't help myself but ask George Cables yesterday how it felt looking back at his career, because you have to, I don't know, when you're, um, I guess he would be labeled one of the greats, right? George
Oh yeah,
Cable,
yeah,
um, from that whole period. He's only 76. So he was a kid when he was started to play with those guys. And it was great to ask him that, how does it feel looking back? Because he said he'd been thinking about that recently, like looking back at his life and feeling extremely thankful and amazed that, he was in the right place at the right time and people liked him and he got to play with so many of the top jazz people.
the jazz guys. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah, it's just like we were saying in the beginning, it's just an incredible depth of experience and music and the effect of art on
yeah,
us. I mean, we're just, yeah, it's hard not to be grateful about that stuff.
yeah. And for me, I go in stages where if I'm listening to this music, could be jazz and a certain period, and then you kind of get stuck there for a moment. Or it depends where you're growing up too.
Yeah.
So that certain period will really influence me a lot and certain drummers of that period. And then I'll hear somebody else in a different type of music. It could be funk music or soul or rock and roll, who knows?
Yeah.
And then you go down that rabbit hole, and then that person and that group of people and musicians and drummers take you in another place for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just for me, it's not just one part of jazz drummers. It's the whole lot,
Yeah.
all kinds of music. Not just
Ben DeVillis mentioned Brian Blades.
Brian Blade. He's amazing.
What was I gonna say?
But then you get somebody like Ben Riley, who used to play with Kenny Barron, who's just swings that trio when they're a trio. It's so grooving.
You've played with big bands too. How does it feel? It must feel very, I mean, it's kind of another duh question, but must feel very different playing with a big band and a small, freer group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because your job as the drummer in a big band is really to drive it, isn't it?
Yep. And play with good time, and well, that's everybody's job.
Yeah.
Because if you're not always in the same place together, then it's not going to work so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, But then it's interesting because you get different big bands. I played in Steve Huffstetter's big band, which is more like a small group with extra horns.
Yeah.
Because that feels like playing with a small group a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then Scott Whitfield's big band, I play in his big band. And that's yeah, I mean, it depends on the tune, but there's more driving in that. But I suppose,
it just depends. Obviously, it depends on the writer and the musicians. It's kind of the writer and arranger, though, I would assume that more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've subbed in different big bands, it's fun.
Yeah.
Play the music.
Yeah. About I was thinking of Don, who was the guy who was really out? It was in the 70s, and Don Don a lot no, Don
Odd Times and Don Ellis?
Yeah. Don Ellis, yeah. That must have been interesting. I know Ralph Humphrey played there and interviewed Ralph, and we listened to some of the music. Wow, that was pretty intense.
That is intense. Yeah, Ralph is freaking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting.
I used to listen to Ralph on a lot of the Zappa records. Man, he just tore it up.
Was it him who played also with Blood, Sweat, and Tears? Can't remember. I had somebody on who played with Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
I know Roy McCurdy did.
Oh, that was who. Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw some of that,
That's cool.
Roy McCurdy, man.
Yeah.
Here's a swinging drummer.
Oh, he is great.
Yeah. Yeah. One time I played with Tootie Heath and his brothers. I don't know how the hell I got into that moment, but I played with the Heath brothers, and I want to tell you, it took me to a whole other universe than I was used to, and it was divine.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting too. Yeah.
But back to playing big bands. I play with Joey's band too, which is a completely different kettle of big band. Because that's got that other creative, experimental side to it.
Yeah.
Which is just wonderful.
This brings to mind, let's see, I don't know exactly how to talk about it, but it brings to mind everybody has this experience, but especially drummers, I think, are really important with this experience of playing on the beat or slightly ahead or slightly behind. I was talking yesterday about seeing Kenny Kirkland and Jeff Tain Watts and Dave Carpenter.
Wow. Yes.
And my head, at first, I really was not into Jeff Tain Watts. I was like, he's rushing or something, what is going on? And then I got it. It was like Jeff was slightly ahead, Kenny was slightly behind, and Dave was right in the middle, holding it all together. Wow. And that kind of stretched my head out, But Jeff Tain Watts, he's like a good example of a guy who plays, on the front edge of the beat.
Yeah.
And that, I would imagine, especially in any kind of big band, that would be something to consider for the leader, right?
I would think so. But I mean, everybody's got to be, in a big band, has got to be thinking about the time and trying to put it where he counts off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most important thing, is the count off, and to lock into that count off straight away.
Yeah. Do you play only percussion as well?
I dabble.
Yeah.
I play the odd.
You play vibes?
No, I did in school, but I didn't continue.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't ask when you met your lovely wife, Sharon, and did you guys come to America together? I would assume so.
No, we
Really?
didn't come together. We met in 1980, and I was playing in a group in Johannesburg in a club. It was a disco pop club. And I played in this band called Lastique. That was fun. It was such a great bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And we would play the disco tunes of the day in 1980, a lot of funky tunes and disco tunes. And then we would also play our original tunes as well, like on the, I think on the second set. And we would do some funny things. We would dress up like lunatics and leap around. But it was a lot of fun. Anyway, our group was signed to a record company, CCP Records, which was a subsidiary of EMI. Oh. And we had a single with them. Mm. And Sharon's cousin worked for EMI, and her husband was the guy in charge of CCP Records. And Sharon's cousin said, listen, come out to this club tonight. We're playing, and there's this band that's signed to us. You might like them. So that's when I met Sharon. Sharon came with her cousin, who I knew. I knew her cousin. And I met Sharon. And then I said to her cousin, afterwards, I said, can I get Sharon's number? And she said, sure, why not? And then I called Sharon up and we had a date.
Oh.
That's how it all started.
Fast moving.
Well, not that fast, but yeah.
Well, you recognized what you thought you might want, and then you moved on it.
Yes. And this is definitely the better half. Sharon is the better half.
So she didn't come with you when you came out? With,
So I came in 1983, and I was at North Texas for a year. And then I went back to South Africa, and I proposed to Sharon. I said, Sharon, will you marry me? And she said, maybe.
Did you say, would you marry me and come to America? Or did you did?
Yeah.
That was kind of a jump.
That was, yeah.
Sharon, I think that was very brave of you.
Cathy, he was on his knee. I was worried he wouldn't be able to stay there.
You know, Sharon, if you want to get in the picture for a sec, you know, you can move over and show your face.
I'm fine.
Shy flower.
Sharon was the best thing in my life.
Boy, is that going to get you points, man.
Ah, yes.
Ooh, you sure know how to do it. My husband's good like that too. You know, it really makes a big difference in a happy marriage.
Good man. Love Gary.
What I really like is when I feel like I look like crapola and I say something to Gary, he'll say something like, you look beautiful. You know, just like that, you know, and even though I know he's probably lying, I just love that he says it like that. It's just so supportive, you know.
You have to believe him.
Exactly. Well, do you want to tell anybody about a gig that's coming up? I will tell somebody first that Kendall and I have a gig August 1st, which is an easy date to remember. And it's in LA. It's at the Urban Press Winery in Glendale. And I just wanted to get a group of guys that I love and I haven't really been working with a lot, so, um, in later years. So Kendall Kay on drums, John Leftwich on bass, Gary Fukushima on piano, who I love, and I don't work with him a lot anymore because, COVID and all that stuff. And Steve Huffstetter on trumpet, gorgeous player, and Chuck Manning on tenor. It's just going to be so much fun. It's during the day. It's a Sunday, 2 to 5, no cover. And they have great wine. Actually, I found out that the owner, who's a really nice guy, he started out by making his own wine at home. And then he loved it so much and it became the Urban Winery. And Urban Press Winery in Glendale. It's really nice. So that's August 1st, 2 to 5. And one more thing while I'm talking about me. If you're in LA, this Saturday, I'm at the conference room in Playa Vista, 6:30 to 9:30. And this is beautiful outdoor setting with good food, very nice, chill vibe with a really nice trio. And the first set I do of my own, and then I have a jam session. And people have been coming out to jam, and it's been really nice. So the conference room in Playa Vista, and you should call and make a reservation or email them. And enough about me. I think I might play something from the record that we did together, though, on the way out. But anything coming up that people should pay attention to for you?
No, everything's sort of slowly coming back. So there's, things coming up on the horizon, but
he's thinking, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'd just like to say thank you so much, Cathy, for doing this.
You're welcome.
Bring a lot of joy to many people. And it's really interesting to find out some of the background on some musicians. It's really fun and interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
And all the other stuff you do for the jazz community.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You are beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And I would also like to say another big thank you to all the fantastic musicians and singers I've played with over the years. Really, very special. Thank you.
See, that's why we love Kendall Kay. Not only is he a tasteful, beautiful, wonderful player, but he's also a tasteful, wonderful human. Sharon, you done good.
I got him in the right place today.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, on the way out here, I'm gonna play "Secret Life," which is a record that we made in 2003. And Secret Life, yeah, it had a lot of originals. It was a particular time that I was writing these particular kind of popish songs, and it was a very nice project that we enjoyed a lot. So thanks, Kendall Kay.
Thanks, Cathy.
It was lovely. Really appreciate you, man.
Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Okay. And
she leads a secret life away from those who know her. No longer somebody's wife, she'll find a world that's closer to her ideal and what she knows she can be. sees the love of his life, he feels he can't get closer. Has no idea that his girl is ready to explode away from his world, and all he knows it to be. And she looks with longing into her secret life, doesn't see the warnings around his loving wife. Every day gets stronger, the pull to what she feels. He won't know the reasons until the thing gets real. He'll see what's real. Who knows what lies on the path, the road to rags or riches. You'll find your life on the way, looking for the dream that lives in your head, and all you know it can be. And she looks with longing into her secret life, doesn't see the warnings around his loving wife. Every day gets stronger, the pull to what she feels. He won't know the reasons until the thing gets real. He'll see what's And she looks with longing into her secret life, doesn't see the warnings around his loving wife. Every day gets stronger, the pull to what she feels. He won't know the reasons until the thing gets real. He'll see what's real. He'll see what's real. She leads a secret life.
I have to say the band sounded great.
Beautiful.
Your drums were really up front and present and beautiful. That was a nice project. It's funny how you do these projects and the years go by and then you don't listen, and then all of a sudden you listen, it's like, wow, that was really nice. Well, thanks, Kendall.
Thank you, Cathy.
Have a great day.
Okay, you too.
Thanks. Bye, Sharon.
Oh, and a final thank you to all the audiences out there who keep coming to our gigs and concerts and supporting us.
Yeah, well, definitely that, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
big thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, Dan Davila said this was an excellent show, and he asked me how close I am to 300 days of live people. And actually, you are number 298.
Wow.
Yes. So actually, next week, the live people is Gary Smulian, the baritone player from New York. He's on Monday. Mike Wooford is on Tuesday. He's 300. And Jerry Watts will be Wednesday. So those will be the live people. And of course, the rest of the week, we're doing archives. So Thursday is Nancy Kelly, great swing singer from New York. Roy McCurdy is Friday, great drummer. Laurie Antonioli, who's a really wonderful, wonderful artistic singer, she's Saturday. And the swinging guitar playing Frank Potenza on Sunday. Actually, Ralph Humphrey will be on like a week from Saturday.
Oh, excellent.
Speaking of Ralph, that was a good interview too.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Kendall. Have a great day.
Thank you, Cathy.
See you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.